Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my corner of the internet. My name is Jason, and today we're playing some Arma 2 Warfare in Takistan. Specifically, we are going to be playing a Benny Edition warfare map over the entirety of Takistan. Every town and strong point will be available for capture, and there will be a full number of AI in here as well. If you're familiar with some of my earlier videos, you know I turned that down. Not so here, we're going full out warfare. Before we go ahead and get into the configuration of everything, I'd like to point out the mods that I'm running, because that is a common question I tend to get. The mods I'm running are ACE. Basically, it's 6 core packages, and I use the Play with 6 mod manager and updater for Arma 2, and I think you should too. It's very easy and helpful to keep your mods all managed, up to date, and good. It's probably one of the easiest. Actually, I think it's the only way to install the most recent ACE mod anyways. If you're not familiar with what ACE is, it's Advanced Combat Environment. It adds several different features and, we'll say, bells and whistles to make the game more realistic, and overall I think it makes things a little bit more immersive. I think ACE for Arma 2 is a little bit more well off, or more developed, considering, you know, it's older than the one for Arma 3, which is why I'm still focusing on Arma 2 for this particular series. The other mod I'm running is ASRAI. Basically, this mod adds a lot to the AI and makes them a little bit smarter and makes them engage from longer distances. They use different tactics. It just makes them more formidable opponents. But to offset that, I want them to be a little bit more human, so I also run a TPWCAS, which is an AI suppression mod. This mod allows you to be able to put suppressive fire in the direction of an AI, and they will duck behind cover. If there's cover nearby. If there isn't, they'll do their best to kind of get low and sort of self-preserve. They want to preserve their own lives. All right, you'll have to excuse my mouse. For some reason, it is not capturing in the correct location, but you should still be able to see where I'm clicking. So there's a couple other questions I want to cover, but we're going to go ahead and start up the match. There'll be plenty of time on loading screens to cover some very important topics that I want to talk about here. So we're going to go under multiplayer. I like to start from the main menu because people always wonder how I get into the matches. Normally, I would go down to new, where it says new, and go ahead and just create my own game. This time here, what I'm doing is I'm going under remote, and I put in an IP address of another computer on my local network. Why? Because I am running a dedicated server. It's only accessible to me, and I'll explain the reason for this shortly. First things first, we're going to go ahead and connect to the server. We're going to go set up our parameters, and we're going to get the game start loading up. Like I said before, I like to show this part because I often get questions as to how do I get to this mode? How do I play what you're playing? And I'm just showing you. You could just go under new, but I'm going and I'm connecting to a dedicated server, so my steps are going to be slightly different. I guess we do have some time for this. Oh, no, I guess we don't. All right, so we're going to go ahead and choose Takistan. We are going to play on Expert. This is how I started my Let's Plays. My very first Let's Play was in Chernarus on Expert, and then after that I went to Takistan on Expert. We're going to be doing the same thing because I want to reduce the UI elements. You can see at the very bottom it says Warfare BE version 2.071 ACE, CHUX 1.8 Takistan. This mod, if you go ahead and Google that, you should be able to find that pretty easily. If not, I'll see if I can get a link to it in the description of the video. We're going to go ahead and continue because that's what we're going to be playing. As a note, because it is on expert mode, there will not be any third-person perspective. Just letting you know in case that's something that you tend to like. Go under server control. I'm going to go ahead and hit login so that I can go ahead and change the parameters for this mission. I am going to be cutting down. Sorry, I guess I lied a little bit earlier. I am going to be cutting down on the group sizes. We're going to go down to 6. So instead of 10 troops each AI group is going to have 6. I am going to change mine to 100, though. I doubt I'll have that many troops under my command, but you know what? Just in case, you know, if I want to go a little bit crazy and I want to be in total control of every single unit, I want the option there. AI, keep units on JIP. I believe that's join in progress. This will be important for me to keep on. Otherwise, I'm going to be losing my units between every recording session. AI squads, we're going to turn on artillery computer and interface. Because just because. Actually, you know what? We'll go enabled with upgrade. That way there, if it's a really convenient thing, then at least we'll be able to, we'll have to work for it. All right, so base allow AI commander, all this looks good. We're going to change this though. Starting locations, we are going to start west and south, east and north. That should sort of create a nice, we're on the bottom, enemies up on the top, and we're fighting our way down. We're going to also change the income interval. So basically this means how often you get paid. We're going to change it down to 30 seconds. This should double the amount of income we get, although things should still be pretty balanced. We're also going to change it so that we get 1,600 to start with, rather than the standard 800. And let's see, I want to get rid of money and supply. We're just going to use money. The commander makes insane amounts of money, so we'll just go ahead and do that. All right, supply system time. Fast time. I'm going to speed things up a little bit. We're going to go 1 second equals 2 seconds, so time is going to be moving twice as quickly, which means 24 hours will be done in 12 hours. Yes, this entire series will take up that much time. We're going to change weather to dynamic because I want to see some rain while I'm out there. All right, let's see. Airport hangars enabled. Body deletion delay. We're going to change that to 10 minutes in case I take someone out and I need to steal their gun. I want to be able to get over there. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of limited boundaries. If I want to go out of bounds with a plane or a helicopter, I want to be able to do that. Now, secondary missions. This actually adds an interesting element to the game. In addition to standard warfare, there will be basically optional secondary objectives that we can go ahead and can do. This may make the game a little bit hard at the beginning, depending on what kind of things get thrown at us. But I think it's a neat thing to have. So we're going to go ahead and enable that. Let's see here. Thermal imaging, track AI, players on map. You know what? Leave that disabled. Victory condition, supremacy, view distance. I want to turn on ace wounds. That way there, it uses the ace wounding system so that, you get shot. We can use bandages, morphine, tourniquets to stop bleeding, stuff like that. Let's see, restriction. Towns, amount. We don't want large. We want full. We want every single town in Takistan available to assault. We also want occupation, occupying forces. So if we capture a town, we want any guards that we have to respawn. We want reinforcements to come back in and help us out. We also want resistance to get reinforcements. This means after we've captured a town, resistance might come on in and try to retake it from us. And starting mode, I want to start from the nitty gritty. We are not even going to start with a town. We are just going to start with our base and our troops and our wits and, our guns and such. But yeah, it sounds more impressive when I say it the other way. Okay, I'm just doing a quick one over, make sure I've got everything set the way I want. Resistance difficulty medium. Actually, that should be fine, actually. I want a nice fight. Now, if you're new to Arma and you don't understand what's going on, I apologize. We're going to start as Blue 4, and we're going to jump on into the game. So basically, what this map is if you're, like I said, if you're not familiar with this, warfare also is known as CTI, or Capture the Island, which is a game mode where you have just a giant map. Think just an open world game, giant map that you're warring over. So think it's part RTS, part down on the ground shooter. I would compare it to, we'll say, Battlefield and stuff, except it's, we'll say, on a much grander scale and a lot less arcadey. So there's, battles for a single village can take hours just because of, we'll say, the intensity of the firefights and all that. All right. Another, a couple of things I'm going to address. First things first, before I get into other things. So maybe it's not really first things first. Whatever. Next thing on my list, basically, I should say, are my computer specs. I always get questions. What kind of computer are you running? Okay, I am running a piece of crap. It's a Dell XPS 15. That's L502 with an Intel Core i7 2630QM. It's a quad core Core i7, but it's a laptop one. It's, what is it? It's 2 gigahertz per core. It says it can go up to 2.9 gigahertz with a turbo feature. However, if all 4 cores are being used, that maximum goes down to 2.6. Arma tends to only use one core, but I do have recording software and stuff going as well, so that's going to put a drain on that as well. Graphics card is a GeForce GT540M 2GB card. It's a laptop card. It's very old. It's definitely dated, and it shows. I got 8 gigs DDR3 of RAM. I can't remember exactly the bandwidth. Once again, though, it's laptop and such. And, you know, a standard 500 gigabyte, 7200 RPM hard drive. That's it very basically. If you need to reference that, go to my channel's About page, and I have it always posted there. I always have my specs there. All right, now this is taking a little bit longer than I would have liked, but I want to explain something. The reason I'm doing it this way, I'm connecting to a dedicated server in my own home here. The reason I decided to take this route is because I discovered what the reason was why my Warfare matches traditionally would degrade. Now, this is really, really interesting. If you've watched my videos before, you know that over time the frame rate would start to drop. Things would just start to get really unplayable. It was miserable. I would start complaining, and I never actually finished a Warfare match because of this. I don't think I have. Actually, I think I may have finished my very first one. Regardless, the reason is not only because of how long the game runs on. So if the game is running for a long time, you have a Warfare match and, you know, just AI all over the map and they're shooting and stuff like that, that by itself does not slow down or kill your frame rate. What really kills your frame rate is if you've got the game running for a long time and then you use Arma's save load feature. When you save the game and then you load it, it for some reason impacts your frame rate relative to the amount of time the game has been running. So what I actually ran a test. I left my game running in Warfare mode for, was it 24 hours? 24 to 40 hours. I left it on over a weekend. And you know what? I was able to come back any point during that period and play the game, and there was never any, wow, is this taking a while to load? And there was never any slowdown. No problems. The second I saved the game and I reloaded it, bam, 5 frames per second. So what am I doing to, we'll say, get past this? Well, I am hosting my server, which is taking quite a while to load, oddly enough. It's actually a little bit longer than usual. I don't think it's locked up, though. It has done this before. Don't worry. So what I've done is I've set up a dedicated server on a virtual machine. Now, what a virtual machine is basically a, we'll say, computer running inside a computer. So I've got another laptop in my house. It doesn't have any graphical power, but it's got a decent processor in it. And I am running a virtual machine in there. And on that virtual machine, I've got my Arma 2 dedicated server, everything set up, the map and all that. And that is what I'm going to be using to run the game. Now, when it comes time to go ahead and pause, because obviously these Warfare matches, they can go on for days. Obviously, I can't sit here and just do a marathon of that. As much as I'd like to, I can't. So what I'm going to do is the features like Virtual Box. It has a, we'll say, a snapshot feature, which kind of works like a saved state for, you know, like on an emulator, you might have a saved state. And it basically takes a snapshot of the condition of the server at that very moment. So what I can do is when I need to actually save my game, I just take a snapshot of the entire server. And then when I want to play again, I just load that save state and reconnect to my server. This circumvents Arma's built-in save load feature and still allows me to continue a long-running game. This screen has gone on for a little bit too long. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I'll probably make a cut, and we will resume once we're actually in the game.